My animated short film I Am Dyslexic is turning 10 years this week. It's about a dyslexic boy climbing a mountain made out of books that represents the school system. My goal with this short film was to raise awareness to dyslexia and use this short film as a tool to explain to those who doesn't understand. 10 years later, it has millions of views, it has received many awards, and it has been used all over the world as an educational tool. And on top of all of that, it kickstarted my career as a special education teacher and an artist to create art about special education. Therefore, join me as I create dyslexic-inspired Pokémon. Over the last 10 years, I played around with many ideas of how to turn them into Pokémon. For the most part, it was the final evolutions that I played around with. The difficulties was, however, what would the first stage be like? So I came up with this idea of having a backpack kid from neurodivergent or neurodiverse plus kid, because I intend to create more Pokemon based on other neurodivergent diagnoses, where the first stage only changed their typing. Though pretty cute idea, I ended up changing it because I was unsatisfied with its direction. After playing around with different ideas, I got to this caveman-like design, again inspired by the short film, where the main character grows paper out of its body to represent his mistakes and failures with dyslexia. I myself has dyslexia, so I wanted it to be representative of myself and using the pencil as a tool to say many dyslexics are very creative and use creative ways to compensate for their challenges. And at this stage, it hasn't really started quote-unquote school yet, so instead of the paper having mistakes on them, like written mistakes, it's drawings that he creates. Neurokid, Dyslexia form, the dyslexic Pokemon, grass type, ability, disability, and hustle, hidden ability, normalize. Dex entry. A playful Pokemon that carries a pencil for both offense and communication. He decorates himself with his favorite drawings, though he will sometimes give away his best artwork to impress females. Rather than using words, he communicates with pictures. Letters often become mixed up or switch places, but he never stops trying. With patient trainers, kind friends, and plenty of practice, he grows stronger every day. In a short film, the female has a blue book and the male has a red book. So, the shine is a reference to the female. I like the idea that its hidden ability is normalize because it wants to be normal, or it thinks at this point it's normal because this is before getting the diagnosis. And I will explain the new ability, disability, after we create the female version. For a while, I played around with the idea of having the dyscalculia diagnosis be more inspired by the female character from my short film. For those of you who doesn't know, dyscalculia is basically dyslexia just with math, where one struggles with understanding math and value. This also affects time, etc. But during the process, I wanted to separate the male and female to show both the male struggle and the female struggle. Though everyone with dyslexia is different, there are some traits that are more often found in males and more often found in females, which I wanted to highlight within this episode. So the design for the female was pretty straightforward. It is based very heavily on the female character, in contrast to the male who uses pencils. The female one uses origami, or specifically origami flowers. This actually a reference to a student of mine who was really skilled at creating origami flowers, but was told off by her teachers a lot because she thought she didn't pay attention, but she actually did. So the little flower is a reference to that. Neurokid, dyslexia form, the dyslexic Pokemon, grass type, ability, disability, and flower veil, hidden ability, normalize, dex entry. A gentle Pokemon that folds paper to express herself. She enjoys giving origami flowers to others. Occasionally, she receives drawings from male admirers and decorates herself with her favorites. Rather than using words, she communicates through visual art. Letters often become mixed up or switch places, but she never stops trying. With patient trainers, kind friends, and plenty of practice, she grows stronger every day. For the shiny, it's referencing the male character from my short film. Very cute, very feminine. Let's talk about a new ability called Disability, which is a reference to dyslexia or a disability. When this Pokemon uses a move, there is a chance it will use a different move instead of the one selected. If this occurs, there is a 20% chance that the user becomes confused. Additionally, while confused, there is a 5% that instead of damaging itself in confusion, it will either recover its HP or randomly raise or lower one of its stats. Again, a reference to the struggles that many do experience having dyslexia. Not only does words sometimes get mixed up, but also commands and tasks right and left, which of course can be very frustrating, but within that challenge you can find great strength and abilities that one can use to compensate for one's needs. So what do you think about NeuroKid and its two different male and female forms? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there, make sure to subscribe as well. As they say, females first, she will evolve at level 22 into Dyslexia. From Dyslexia, Evolution, and Eon, because dyslexia is something you have your whole life and something you are born with. But that doesn't mean that it will be a challenge for the rest of your life. The first sketches here was actually supposed to be a dyscalculia one. It was confused about time. Quickly realized that I wanted it to be a female dyslexic one instead. And for a little while it was also a middle evolution regardless of gender, but it quickly turned female only. It is a reference to when my characters get too overwhelmed, where they then have a lot of paper just growing out of their body and they're unable to move. So a trait that is more common in dyslexic girls than boys is that they're more pleasing, are more likely to overwork themselves to be perceived as the quote-unquote good girl that does all the tasks and get good grades, but secretly is really struggling, where they more often than not end up falling apart and have a breakdown later in life because they have maintained this mask for too long and are exhausted. Hence why her pose looks like she's running, looking vulnerable and stressed, because that's often the emotions that these individuals are feeling. Dyslexion, the dyslexic Pokemon, grass psychic type. Ability, disability and trace, hidden ability, defeatist, dex entry. This Pokemon worries so deeply about not doing well enough that she has pushed herself beyond her limits. She has stopped doing the things she once enjoyed and refuses to acknowledge her learning challenges, making her difficult to train. The immense stress she lives under has awakened extraordinary psychic senses, allowing her to perceive the emotions and intentions of those around her in hopes of pleasing her trainer and avoiding abandonment. Dyslexions that are abandoned rarely survive for long. And once again, the shiny has a red hat, referencing the male character from my short film. And as you just heard from the dex entry, I gave her the psychic ability because many individuals with dyslexia become so worried that they are too aware of everything that goes on because they're terrified of making mistakes. In addition to this, on the more alternative side, there are several interesting books about individuals who are neurodiverse who claim to have more psychic or spiritual powers or being on the alternative side. On the other side, you can say that it's a reference to dyslexics having a great problem-solve ability and often finds creative solutions that others can't see. And ability trace and defeatist is both references to the dyslexic struggles or the eagerness to please in this sense. Pretty cool, right? So much lore. A great way to raise awareness. Let's go to the male. The male is actually evolving at level 19, a few levels earlier than the female, because commonly boys get the diagnosis earlier than girls, because they act out more often. The early designs for the male was basically the picture on the left, when my character is just flooded with paper. Though the idea was cool, it looked too much like my character from my short film. Though it was very important for me to maintain the feeling of giving up and being rebellious, because boys are more likely to give up, become rebellious and or act out. I still wanted to show that the papers has grown too much and is not in control, which I think I did a good job of. Though it looks like he's wearing a dress. Or maybe it is a kilt. Dyslexia, the dyslexic Pokemon, grass fighting type, ability, disability, and defeatist. Hidden ability, stall, dex entry. This Pokemon has given up after becoming overwhelmed by his learning challenges and the expectation he believes he cannot meet. Feeling misunderstood by his trainer, he often refuses to follow commands, causing many trainers to abandon their Dyslexia. Consumed by guilt and the desire to be normal, he no longer uses his pencil to express himself. Instead, each mistake and failure appears up on his body. Over time, some Dyslexion become completely covered, leaving them unable to move. And their shiny follows the same theme as the previous ones. Instead of a psychic type, it's a fighting type. Which was my original plan, because they're fighting to survive in this system that doesn't work. Which is also further shown in the two other abilities it has, Defeatist and Stall. What do you think about these two middle stage Pokemon? And while you're down there, give this video a like, it really helps a lot. And of course, the perfect way to evolve into the final evolution is through high friendship. This will give you Dyslexicon from Dyslexia, Lexicon, and Con with a K, which means spirit in Japanese, because these Pokemon are embodying the spirit of Dyslexia. To start out, I use Cerulege and Armarouge as references for the body, and as you can see early on, it has a shield. This shield is a reference to dyslexia support programs which help with spelling, and you get text read out loud for you, among other things. Though sadly it didn't really work with its design, it looked out of place. It also ended up looking way too much like the actual character from my short film. So after a lot of attempts, I redesigned it into a design that flowed more from its previous evolutions, giving it this hero, burly man, wise man vibe, and making it look happy, like it's having a lot of fun, playing on the whole idea that he is in control, he has compensated for his challenges, he has made it into his strength, and he has taken his pencil back, now using it as a proper weapon, but also a way to communicate, to express himself, because he knows that his hobbies can be used as a strength. And as you can see in the left upper corner, where I created this yin-yang picture, yes, dyslexia can be very difficult, it can be painful, but when you acknowledge your strength and using tools to help yourself, suddenly dyslexia is not so difficult anymore. And you can focus more on the positive sides, superpower even, as some people would call it. Dyslexicon, the dyslexic Pokemon, grass fighting type, ability, Neuroforce and Intrepid Sword, hidden ability, contrary, dex entry. The unwavering support he received from his trainer allowed him to evolve. He has mastered his challenges and now uses his abilities to overcome them. What once held him back has become his greatest strength, allowing him to find creative solutions to difficult situations and making him a formidable opponent. He wields a giant pencil in battle and takes great joy in challenging Encyclopedia. The shiny turns red-blue with a few alterations with the color of the paper. It's pretty cool, right? And you may think that its abilities are too overpowered, but honestly dude, when individuals with dyslexia find their strengths, they are unstoppable. They are overpowered. Let's have a look at the female one. This one was difficult. I created so many different versions, everything from looking unique to looking just like the male, just as a female, giving it a pencil, giving it a shield in form of a big origami flower. It just became too much and looked way too serious. So I went back to the drawing board, made it more feminine looking. You probably see the girl in the red dress to the left, which is all about owning your mistakes. I wanted to reference that in this design. She has full control of paper in general, using what once was difficult for her as a strength. It took a few attempts to get to a design that I was happy with. She ended up looking a lot more mature than I first expected. But I like that because it shows that she has experience. And the whole dress also functions as a defense mechanism, also referencing the wave that is in my short animated film that can be quite destructive. In this case, she owns it. She is in control with her psychic power. Admittedly, it was difficult to kind of balance this one because it could easily be too much with all this paper, but I think I found a cool design that works. And just like with the male one, it looks like she is in action, which I really like. Dyslexicon, the dyslexic Pokemon. Grass psychic type. Ability: Neuroforce and Dauntless Shield. Hidden ability: Contrary. Text entry: the unwavering support she received from her trainer allows her to evolve. She has mastered her challenges and now uses her abilities to overcome them. What once held her back has now been transformed into her greatest strength. Her complete control over paper allows her to create powerful defenses. She takes pride in her abilities and enjoys challenging encyclopedias to prove how far she has come. Her shiny is of course with the red book, but also the paper has a blue tint, referencing digital dyslexia support programs. I felt that was very important to include that somehow in these designs. I'm very happy with these two. And even more now after telling you guys about the whole process and thoughts behind it. All the references. I feel like I have done great justice to both the male and female and show the potential progression, at least when it goes well. Maybe I should create some alternative evolutions in the future where it goes wrong. Which one is your favorite out of this video? My favorite is the male Dyslexicon. I love how different it looks from its inspiration, yet you can clearly see what inspired it. And that you can really say about all of them. I look forward to see what you think in the comments, and do you relate to any of them? And while you're down there commenting, here's a sneak peek on an upcoming video. And if you haven't done it yet, go here, watch my short animated film, let me know what you think about it as well. And if you have dyslexia or other learning challenges, subscribe to that channel, because I make loads of content that can help you understand yourself and communicate your needs and wants. Interested in more Fakemon, you should totally check out this video where I created book Pokemon. And with that, thank you so much to everyone who have followed and have liked my content both here and on my other channel. I really appreciate it. See you in the next video when we're going to recreate them all. Mads out.